Thank you very much. Sky, that was a perfect choice.
Good.
You know, when I come to UCM, I never have to worry about the music choices. And sometimes I'm looking for songs, sometimes I don't always have enough time to find a song, and I can trust at Unity of Central Mass that Sky's going to pick the perfect song, don't you think? So, again, great job. Great job. Okay. So what I'm here today to talk about is Jim's book, Jim Rosemurky's book, Gatherings of the Few, A Guide to Global Spiritual Awakening. Now, the first thought that comes to mind when I hold this book up for you is it's kind of small for a global spiritual awakening, don't you think? Yeah. Kind of tiny. Tells me something, and being that I know Jim pretty well, I know that what he's got written in here is simple and not easy. Mm-hmm. Okay? Simple but not easy. And he sent me this copy. He wrote, "Once again, we do the work in love." To KK. Once again, we do the work in love. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's what we're looking to do. We're looking to do anything we're looking to do is to do it in love, right? Maybe without expectation of certain results, because you never know what's going on in the background, right? I stand up here once a month, usually here at UCM, and I speak and I get beautiful, positive feedback from some of you, and some people I don't get to talk to every Sunday that I'm here, but I trust that something is connecting with someone, and that makes the trip worthwhile, right? I don't have to be all things to all people. I've never asked you guys to buy into something specific that I'm saying. I'm just asking you to consider these ideas that I'm presenting and find out what it means to you. Okay? So let's start with this. I'm going to give you a couple of lines from 3 different prayers. Prayer of St. Francis says, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace." Right? We've all heard that. There's another prayer that I know of in the recovery world, and it says, "God, I offer myself to thee to do with me and to build with me as thou wilt." Okay? And there's another prayer in recovery that says, "My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad." Okay. So here's my first point. Be careful what you pray with. Be careful about the words that you use, because what you're doing is we're not praying, in Unity we're not saying that we're praying to this outer being in the sky, right? We believe that God is a God energy, God mind is within us already. So what are we praying about? We're putting ourselves out there. The universe is listening to us. Okay? So when I say something like, "Make me an instrument of your peace," guess what? I'm going to be presented with lots of opportunities to bring peace to a not so peaceful situation. Okay? It's like, have you ever heard people say, "Don't ever pray for patience"?
Yes.
I have a dear friend of mine who, years ago, this was about 20 years ago, she was praying for patience. She was really struggling with patience, right? And so she was praying, "God, help me with patience, help me with patience." I kid you not, her 3 grandchildren, all diagnosed with ADHD, were dropped off on her doorstep because her daughter was struggling with drugs, and she ended up adopting those 3 children. Don't pray for patience. The idea behind it is, and it was a wonderful experience, she presented for those kids something that they weren't able to get from their mother. She was too sick at the time, and it really worked out well. However, what I'm saying to you is that when we want to move forward with something, we are going to be presented with situations that allow us to practice what we're talking about here. Okay? And so last January, Jim Rosemurgy had an online 4-week Zoom class. Can't remember what he called it, but what's going on now and the times are coming or something to that effect. It was a really funny title. And he was just talking about some spiritual experiences and awakenings that he was having recently, and he wanted to share it with a group of us because we're his friends. And anytime Jim offers a class online, I would encourage you to take it. He offers them for love offerings, so you just send him whatever you can. And there's usually like 50 or 60 of us at least. I know that some of us have been in those classes. And at the end of the 4 weeks, somebody in the class gave him feedback and said, you really need to write a book about this because these ideas are so powerful. Here it is, less than a year later, right? Because we ended the class in February and we already have the book. When Spirit nudges Jim, he moves, takes action. And that's what I want to be when I grow up, because I want to do the same thing. But his book is an invitation to anyone who might be concerned about the future of humanity and the future of our planet. Anybody? No. Okay. It reveals the way to an individual spiritual awakening, and then how we can use these spiritual principles that help us to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. I love that phrase. To be changed in the twinkling of an eye. You never know when it's going to happen. You never know when you're going to hear that one sentence that suddenly makes sense, right? When I first found Unity in 2009, 2010, and I would take classes from the LUTs and from Jim himself, I didn't know what they were talking about, right? I had come from a very traditional church upbringing, and when they talked about, original blessing instead of original sin, I was lost, right? The languaging that they were using, this all-inclusive blessing of everybody and one God, many paths, and all this wild, wild stuff, right? It was foreign to me, and now it feels like home. Now it feels like, how could I have ever thought any other way, right? But this idea behind the global spiritual awakening is this. He says it only takes a few to reach a critical mass required to ignite a global spiritual awakening. The situation here is that we don't know how many it takes to make that critical mass. We know how many people are approximately on the planet, right? But we don't know what the tipping point is. So we have to assume, or I'm going to encourage you to assume, that we're important in this equation. That it's really important that the more of us that get on board, the better it's going to be for us to try and move into this global spiritual awakening. One of the outrageous ideas that he came up with is that peace is already here. How many times do we sing the song, "Let there be peace on earth," right? How many times do we say, "I'm praying for peace to come"? Yes. Mm-hmm. But we're in a community that believes that we have these 12 powers within us, that we have all of the resources we could possibly need. What are we waiting for? What are we waiting to arrive? Right? What's coming? It's already here. Now, I've been doing this talk a couple of times. I'm going to continue to be doing this talk and expanding upon it, so look forward to it next month and in April. And in April, we're going to have a workshop on it. Yes. Okay. But the idea that peace is already here is kind of weird. And then what shows up on the Daily Word this week?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. If I accept, I find peace. What? Huh? Right? Okay. Coincidence? I think not. I'm fond of calling this now, I came up with a phrase during one of my talks last year, divine choreography, right? Like that was not, no, I didn't even look at today's Daily Word. I tried to, but I don't always do it. And sometimes there's a reason why I don't get to it, because I like to be surprised like that, right? Okay. So when I was doing this talk last week in Hartford, one of the congregants came up to me and she said, do you think that one of our 12 powers would be peace? Do you think that divine love could include peace? And I said, absolutely. Because what she said was that the definition of divine love includes the word harmony. That's peace to me, right? So it's already here. I'm going to encourage you to go home this week and think about that. That peace is already here. Jim, a member from Unity of Fort Myers last month coordinated an event online about this meditating on peace already being here, etc., etc. And some of Jim's words, I want to share these with you because I think they're very powerful. He wrote on Facebook, soon we test the power of a unified global consciousness of peace. Do not direct the peace that is released from within you. What? Yeah, I'm seeing some puzzle things. All right, I'm going to say, do not direct the peace that is released from within you. It knows the way. Do not think of countries or nationalities. Peace does not recognize such things. Do not look for signs that peace is coming, but instead know that peace is here. Amen. Was that emoji, that mind-blown thing? Right? Yeah. This is huge. It's just a couple of sentences, but it is huge. Because I have always thought that I needed to pray for peace in the Middle East. I needed to pray for peace in Kansas City. I needed to pray for peace in wherever. This idea is completely radical. It is completely outside the box. And boy, what if it's true? What if it's true? You know? It's one of those things where he went on further. He said, most religions hold the hope that their spiritual giants will return and usher in a world of love and peace and joy. He doesn't think that's the way to our transformation. He says, we know the way. The spiritual giants showed us a way of life, of love, of compassion, of non-violence and non-resistance. They showed us how to use the spiritual principles that govern the universe and our lives. And it's humanity's responsibility to unite and use the keys given to usher in the world that is destined to be. This is big. I can only speak to you from my personal experience right now. I haven't done this much. I'm only starting to talk about it at the different churches that I'm going to. But what I can say to you is that these words have totally flipped the script in my head. Because if I'm sitting down and I am not required, says the little Catholic girl inside of me, if I am not required to pray for peace for a specific place, or they're not going to get it, right? Or I don't have to pray for peace for a particular person, or they're not going to get it because it's already there, then that changes everything. But it also does another thing. It still means that the responsibility is on us. Like that video with those beautiful children. Please, take care of the planet. Do what we're supposed to do. Help us to have a world that we can grow up in. Right? So what if peace is already here? What if it's my job to demonstrate that peace in the grocery store, in the mall, right? Just walking down the street, walking to my car in a parking lot. What if it's my job to show peace? What if I'm in the workplace and someone is all up in arms? What if I approach it that it's my job to bring the peace to the situation? Right? These are all questions right now. I don't know how it's going to show up. There are things that we can do. And the first thing is to understand that we need to have that individual spiritual awakening. The next time I come back in March, I'm going to be talking about what Jim suggests. You don't have to do everything or anything that he is suggesting. I'm just going to share it with you. Maybe something will strike a chord with you, right? He talks about being like the river and flowing, etc. He talks about going into the cave, meaning we deal with our shadow side. Anybody ever do some shadow work? It's not fun. Oh my goodness, it's not fun at all. And it's the best thing I ever did. Right? Because once I got over the fear of seeing what a terrible, awful person I am, I was able to look at what I was seeing. And I was able to differentiate that I'm still a spiritual being. It's just sometimes that human side expresses itself in a way that I don't care for. Right? And it's not pretty. I know it's hard to believe. But the thing is that it's so important to remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It can take some of my judgment away. I can take some of that self-judgment out of the equation. And I can go to a different place with it. And now that I've got this whole idea, this possibility, peace is already here. Yeah. Do I believe that? Yeah, I kind of do. It's hard though. On a human level, it's hard to really think about that. Because when I look at the outer world, it's very hard to ignore when I'm observing the hate being spewed at other people, the judgment being thrown out there, right? Good grief, Taylor Swift can't go to a football game, can she? Holy cow. You know, I think about, I mean, that just came out of my mind because you guys know I'm a sports fan. And, I mean, she was supporting her boyfriend. Any other person would have been, like, applauded for it. And they're all upset because the camera panned to her a couple of times, you know? When you look at all of that stuff, all of that judgment and stuff, it's hard to come back to this idea that the truth of the matter is that peace is here, peace is within us. If you think of it as divine love, if that works for you, do it. You know, maybe something else will come to mind that comes to you even more so. But the important part here is that peace is already here. Right? In Acts, chapter 9, verse 15, we're talking about Saul's journey to Damascus, and he is condemning Jesus at every turn, etc. And the passage goes, but the Lord said to him, go, for he is an instrument whom I have chosen to bring my name before Gentiles and kings. So he's asking Ananias to go to Saul. So Ananias went and entered the house. He laid his hands on Saul and said, Brother Saul, the Lord Jesus, who appeared to you on your way here, has sent me so that you may regain your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit. He was struck blind on the road to Damascus. He had a vision of Jesus. He's struck blind, and he's blown away by this, right? In modern terms, his mind was blown, right? Mm-hmm. And so Ananias does this, and immediately something like scales fell from his eyes, and his sight was restored. Imagine that you might have scales over your eyes, and imagine them going away and seeing things in a totally different way. I've often said that, you know, when I hear a bell ring, I can't unhear the bell. This may be your bell. I don't know. This may be your bell. There's no need for peace, to wait for peace to arrive. That's the suggestion I'm giving. Go with it wherever you want. This is not a talk where We go out, okay, Sunday talk's over. Now we go home, we watch the NASCAR Daytona 500, which is this afternoon, maybe, if it's not raining. And, I love that. But this is not the kind of talk that you just wash your hands and go, okay, till next Sunday, right? This is something much deeper than that. I am inviting you to join me on this journey of just considering possibilities. If you can, get the book. I believe it's available on Amazon. It is called Gatherings of the Few. The idea behind it is, and we'll go into this more in the future, is getting just a group of people together and meditating on certain aspects from the book. But it's still an individual job. But when you gather together, it just multiplies the energy a millionfold. Right? This earth is nothing but energy. Nothing but energy. And it transforms and it changes and it moves, but it doesn't get destroyed. Right? Are you ready for the scales to fall off of your eyes?
Yes.
Pretty freaky. I'm going to leave you with the 4 ideas that Jim has in his book that he says, start every day with this. Okay? The answer is always spiritual. So whether you're late to work or you're thinking about a global spiritual awakening, the answer is always spiritual. Think about that. I am part of a peaceful uprising. Would you like to be part of a peaceful uprising? It only takes a few of us. I am one of the few. I've decided to be one of the few. And I'm hoping that at least a few of you will join me and become one of the few. Now what that's going to take is this. It's going to take a lot of acceptance, my friends. Because what that means is I am not going to be able to do this if I'm on Facebook getting mad at every other post I see from friends who don't agree with me.
That's right.
Because that agitation is not going to help my state of mind, and it's not going to help my sense of peace, right? But acceptance means that I love them anyway. Acceptance means that I understand that they are just like me. They have different thoughts, they have different ways of expressing, and they may be at a different level of consciousness than I am, but that does not make me any better or any worse than anyone. We're all together in this.
Right.
Sorry. Every time I say stuff like that, I think of Washington, D.C. That's all I'm going to say. But we're all in this, So this is very powerful stuff. I have found it to be. I hope that I got you to think just a little bit today. Like I said, next time I will go a little bit deeper into how we can have this individual awakening. And even though I feel like I've had some spiritual awakenings in the past, I'm not the same person I used to be that just blindly went to Mass every Sunday, saying words that I didn't really even pay attention to. Even though I'm not that way, I still have a lot to learn. And I'm ready to grow. And I am one. Notice I'm not saying I want to be one of the few. I am one of the few. You can be one of the few. You just have to say, I am. I'm excited about this. Praying for peace in specific locations and specific situations has not appeared to work. I'm going to say that. It hasn't appeared to have worked. Well, anyway. But there's a shift going on this planet, I believe. There is a shift happening in many people. And lots of people are moving into a new way of thinking. And you know what that means? A lot of people are holding on for dear life to the old way of thinking. You ever see that picture of the cat with the claws in the wall? Let go or be dragged? Yeah. I don't want to be one of them. I've been one of them, but I don't want to.
Olive oil?
Yeah, right, stretching. It can happen, I believe. Take these ideas home with you. Let's take them into meditation right now and see where it takes us. So, first things first, let's get comfortable wherever we are. Take a nice deep breath. And just feel your body relaxing into the chair as you continue to take deep breaths. May the words that I speak now be the words of your own heart. Peace is here. I am part of a peaceful uprising. It only takes a few of us, and I am one of the few. A unified global consciousness of peace is attainable. I release the need to direct peace, to go where I think it should go. It knows the way. It is already there. I have absolute control over what is happening within me. I choose my responses and my actions with care. That is my freedom. The answer is always spiritual. I am part of a peaceful uprising. It only takes a few of us. And I am one of the few. It is humanity's responsibility to unite. I take this responsibility seriously. Peace is here. I take a deep breath. I exhale out slowly, feeling refreshed and renewed. The realization I take away today is the answer is always spiritual. And so it is. Amen. Before you open your eyes, please take a couple of deep, deep breaths. Bring yourself slowly back to this place and this time. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. Welcome back, friends.